When excellence isn't enough, how Black women are rewriting success in America. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to begin by acknowledging the extraordinary woman whose work has fundamentally transformed our understanding of power, success, and resilience in America. Dr. Patrice Finley isn't just a researcher or advocate. She's a visionary whose groundbreaking work has illuminated pathways that challenge our most basic assumptions about opportunity and systemic change. Through her tireless dedication to uncovering hidden truths, she has created tangible blueprints for a more equitable future while empowering countless women to redefine success on their own terms. In a world of academic theorists, Patrice stands apart as someone who translates profound insights into transformative action. Her impact extends far beyond conference rooms and journal publications. It lives in the everyday decisions of women who found the courage to create new possibilities where none seem to exist. What I'm about to share with you today comes directly from my extensive conversations with Patrice, and I warn you now, it may fundamentally challenge what you believe about education, opportunity, and success in America. Here's a startling truth: Black women are the most educated demographic in America, the most educated. Let that sink in for a moment. Not just competitive or doing well, the most educated demographic in the entire country. Yet, they remain drastically underrepresented in leadership roles and continue to face the widest pay inequity of any group. This reality shatters one of our most cherished American beliefs: that education is the great equalizer, that with enough degrees, certifications, and credentials, the playing field levels itself, that merit and hard work inevitably triumph. But what happens when they don't? What happens when the most educated group in America still faces the widest pay gaps? When advanced degrees don't translate to advanced opportunities? When the conventional wisdom about climbing the ladder of success proves fundamentally flawed? This is the contradiction Patrice Finley's work exposes, and it demands we reconsider everything we think we know about how success actually works in America. The data is unambiguous and devastating. Despite leading all demographic groups in college enrollment and graduate degrees, Black women occupy just 4% of C suite positions as of 2023. The gender pay gap remains stubbornly wide, with Black women earning just 63 cents for every dollar earned by white non Hispanic men. These aren't just statistics on a page, they represent real lives, real talent, real potential being systematically undervalued and overlooked. They represent brilliant minds creating solutions that never reach the market, perspectives that never shape policy, and innovations that never transform industries, not because of any lack of ability, but because of persistent barriers that credentials alone cannot overcome. But here's where the story takes a remarkable turn and where Patrice's insights become truly revolutionary. In the face of these barriers, Black women aren't simply accepting the status quo, they're rewriting the rules entirely. Between 2017 and 2024, the number of Black women owned businesses grew by over 40%, making them one of the fastest growing entrepreneurial demographics in America. This isn't just impressive, it's paradigm shifting. It suggests something profound about how we might need to reconceptualize success, power, and progress in the 21st century. Let me share three powerful stories from my conversation with Patrice that illustrate this transformation in action. First, consider Morgan DeBon, co founder of Blavity Inc. in Los Angeles. When Morgan noticed how mainstream media consistently excluded stories relevant to herself and her peers, she didn't just complain, she created a solution. She left her corporate tech job determined to fill this void with culturally resonant content. Morgan faced immediate skepticism from investors who doubted both her vision's viability and her ability to scale a business targeting young Black audiences, a market often dismissed as too niche by mainstream media executives. They told me repeatedly that there wasn't enough market potential, Morgan shared with Patrice, as if millions of young Black professionals with disposable income and cultural influence somehow didn't constitute a viable audience. Rather than accepting these limitations, she leveraged digital platforms to build an engaged community around authentic storytelling while seeking out diverse funding sources beyond traditional venture capital circles. The result? Blavity quickly became one of the largest media startups dedicated to multicultural voices. It expanded into events through Afro Tech, acquired other brands like Travel Noir, and secured millions in investment funding. Today, Blavity has grown into a multi brand empire, reaching millions monthly across platforms, proving there's both power and profit in serving communities that have been historically overlooked. As Patrice emphasized during our conversation, Morgan didn't just build a company, she created an entirely new ecosystem that validates and amplifies voices that traditional media gatekeepers had deemed unworthy of investment. The second story centers on Natalie Madeira Caulfield, founder of Walker's Legacy, named after Madam C.J. Walker, America's first female self made millionaire. This professional collective supports multicultural businesswomen through education programs nationwide. Natalie encountered limited access to mentorship networks, typically available within majority led business organizations. Many potential sponsors were unfamiliar with the culturally specific hurdles faced by minority founders. Her response? Create what was missing. She established Walker's Legacy as both an educational resource hub offering workshops and webinars and a networking platform tailored specifically for multicultural female entrepreneurs' needs, including those balancing family responsibilities with business growth goals. I was tired of being the only one in the room, Natalie told Patrice. And I was tired of watching brilliant women diminish their ambitions because they couldn't see anyone who looked like them succeeding. So I built a space where we could see each other, support each other, and celebrate each other. Over time, Walker's legacy has served tens of thousands across multiple cities, with measurable gains such as increased small business loan approvals among its members, largely due to peer to peer learning models implemented via local chapters. As Patrice noted in our interview, Natalie recognized that traditional networking spaces weren't designed with Black women entrepreneurs in mind. So she built a community where their unique challenges and strengths would be fully understood and supported. The third story features Jewel Burke Solomon, who launched Part Pick, a visual search technology startup helping users identify industrial parts using smartphone cameras after recognizing inefficiencies during her time working at McMaster Car Supply Company. Like so many Black women founders, Jewel struggled securing early stage capital. Industry gatekeepers underestimated both her technical acumen and market potential because she was young and female. I had investors actually tell me to my face that they didn't think I was technical enough to lead a technology company, Jewel recounted to Patrice. Despite my engineering background and years of experience in the industrial parts industry, undeterred, Burks Solomon participated actively in pitch competitions and accelerator programs targeting minority founders until gaining traction and ultimately attracted Amazon's attention. Part Pick was acquired by Amazon less than 3 years after launch. Jewel went on to become head of Google Startups US, a role where she now advocates for inclusive entrepreneurship ecosystems nationwide. What makes Jewel's story so powerful, Patrice explained during our conversation, is how she's leveraging her success to create pathways for others. She's not just breaking barriers, she's dismantling them systematically for the next generation. These three women exemplify what Patrice calls transformative resilience, the capacity not just to overcome barriers, but to fundamentally reshape the landscape for those who follow. Their stories reveal three crucial insights that challenge conventional wisdom about success and opportunity in America. First, education is not a cure all. Credentials alone cannot overcome systemic barriers. Even though Black women lead all groups in college and graduate enrollment, they remain underrepresented at leadership levels, demonstrating that degrees alone don't guarantee equal opportunity or advancement. Second, entrepreneurship has become a powerful form of resistance and self determination. When traditional systems fail to open doors, Black women have built their own pathways, creating businesses that serve their communities while generating wealth and opportunity. Third, persistent systemic barriers require both individual innovation and collective action. The gender pay gap remains stubbornly wide for Black women, driven by factors like occupational segregation and motherhood penalties, which means advocacy for transparency, policy change, and community support remains crucial. As Patrice powerfully stated during our interview, the American dream was never designed with Black women in mind. So Black women are redesigning it, not just for themselves, but for everyone who has been marginalized by systems that confuse privilege with merit. This brings me to perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of Patrice's work, her challenge to how we conceptualize power itself. For generations, success has been defined by climbing existing ladders, corporate advancement, wealth accumulation, positional authority. But what these stories reveal is something far more transformative: the power of creating entirely new structures when existing ones prove inadequate or unjust. Morgan didn't just seek a seat at the media table, she built a new table. Natalie didn't just join existing networks, she created one specifically designed for those who had been excluded. Jewel didn't just seek venture capital, she found alternative pathways to validate her vision until traditional gatekeepers could no longer ignore it. This represents a fundamental shift in how we might understand power in the 21st century, not just as the ability to succeed within existing systems, but as the capacity to envision and create entirely new ones. And this is where Patrice Finley's work becomes truly universal in its implications. Because in a rapidly changing world where traditional institutions and career paths are increasingly unstable, the ability to create new pathways rather than simply follow established ones becomes essential for everyone. The resilience, creativity, and community building demonstrated by Black women entrepreneurs offer a blueprint not just for addressing racial and gender inequity, but for navigating an increasingly uncertain future where adaptability and innovation will determine who thrives and who merely survives. As Patrice reminded me during our conversation, when you've never had the luxury of taking systems for granted, you develop an extraordinary capacity to imagine alternatives. That's not just resilience, it's visionary leadership. I stand before you today not just to share these insights, but to challenge you to act on them. Because this isn't just about understanding injustice, it's about reimagining power itself. What if we measured success not by how high we climb predetermined ladders, but by our courage to build new structures that better serve our communities? What if we recognize that real power isn't about conforming to existing expectations, but about having the vision to create spaces where everyone can thrive authentically? I challenge you today to examine the structures you participate in. Are you merely climbing ladders others have built? Or are you creating new pathways? Are you perpetuating systems that exclude? Or are you building alternatives that embrace the full spectrum of human potential? The most important credentials aren't the ones that hang on our walls, but the ones we forged through lived experience, resilience, and the wisdom that comes from navigating systems not designed with us in mind. So I ask you today, with all the urgency this moment demands, how will you use your unique talents, not just your credentials, to create spaces where you and others can thrive unapologetically? What legacy will you leave if you stop waiting for permission from systems not designed with you in mind? The remarkable women in these stories and the brilliant insights Patrice Finley has drawn from their experiences remind us that sometimes the most powerful act isn't climbing the ladder, it's building a new one. The future belongs to those with the courage to reimagine it. Will you be one of them? Thank you.